Anybody go second? We got a second from Matt. All in favor? Aye? Can everybody hear us? Yes. Okay, good.
And now, you just came up.
All right, good. Sorry about that. We had some issues here. Deb, you ready to go?
Yep. So the first thing today is we are about to get our new pickups that we ordered for the foreman through Carpool, and we need to get a plow and an insert for one of them. There is enough money in the .2s, so I'm asking permission to purchase a plow and an insert.
Is there a motion? Moved by Daryl, second by Paul. Any discussion on it? Dana?
Is the insert the bed liner, and what is the cost?
Yes, it's the insert for the sander, and the cost, we only have one estimate right now, is $19,249, so.
Is that
right
a V plow or straight plow?
A straight plow.
Thank you.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Next, we have an auction list. So we got 4 new trucks this year, and we would like permission to declare surplus 4 of our older trucks. There's a 92040 is an Army truck. It's a Freightliner. The other ones are 2 2006s, which are International 7600 series, and the last one is an 07, which is an International Pace.
I know you just got that list together, Deb, but could you email it out to the supervisors? Yep. Okay. Is there a motion to put these up for auction?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Daryl seconds it. Any discussion on this? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
So as you remember last year, hopefully we bought our trucks at the end of the year instead of the beginning of the next year. And we would like to do that again this year, or have a discussion about it. We've going off Onondaga County bid. We have enough money. Well, we would need about $100,000, but we have enough savings in other lines in that account. So I don't know, did you want to talk about that? And are you interested in buying them a year early, or a couple months early?
Dan?
Yeah, how does that work? Because it will be in next year's budget for some type of replacement. If we buy them early, you say you have enough money to cover it. But do we end up using next year's budgeted money eventually for it? Or are we actually 1 year ahead now on our money for spending on trucks?
I guess the philosophical discussion for the board is this could be your new norm. Each year you're going to put 4 trucks or 3 trucks in the budget. And by doing this December purchase, I think that you'll find that can confirm this, but my memory is that there was a considerable savings because shortly after she ordered the truck, the increase came through in mid-January, February.
Yep.
Then it was a decent jump to the date they took. So I think there's twice a year where the truck prices fluctuate. Yep. So getting the December order in means that next year's, so that you still end up with the same amount of trucks each year, but buying it in the late part of the year saves that beginning part of the next year jump. So, philosophically, then we'll get to the board that wants to become your new norm. If not, you can talk about this one-time purchase that made sense last year and that made sense again this year. That did the right thing and actually worked with me, and I can confirm that she does have the money to make the purchase.
The other thing too is it's been so hard to get trucks coming that even when we order in December, we're lucky to get them in time for when the snow flies. Dana Haff, you had your hand up first.
Yes, Deb, when you say trucks, what kind of trucks? I think you're talking about pickup trucks because 100,000 won't even buy half of a tandem axle truck.
So I'm actually talking about the plow trucks, but we were 100,000 short in our line, sort of. So it is for the plow trucks.
Oh, you're 100,000 short. I thought you had 100,000 on hand.
So the money, if we move the money, if we have, I don't know how this money stuff works. I mean, I kind of do. Al, you're the expert on it.
So the amount that's in this year's budget for her truck purchase is a little bit less than what the bid came in at. The bid in at like $1,068,000 or something like that. I think the number was.
Yes.
So she's about 98,000 shy with what's in the budget right now. So as she said, in what budget? In her county road machinery vehicle line.
In this budget.
In this 2021 budget, sorry. So the planned purchase for this year is a little bit shy of what the bid came in. And again, they're expecting another increase, unfortunately, early next year. So this purchase could, in theory, miss that anticipated spike in for next year.
Jay, have we already purchased 4 trucks for 2021?
We purchased them last December, correct, Dad?
Yes.
Yes, we ordered last December that we are getting this year, yeah.
What budget pays for that out of last December, 2020 or 2021?
Al, what paid for the trucks that we got on order on December last year? Was it money we had in the budget last year?
So we moved some money, we decreased the interfund transfer to county road machinery and redirected that money. We decreased the amount of money going into county road and redirected that money to road machinery to effectuate the early purchase last year.
Okay, so I don't quite understand it. My question is, in 2021 budget, will we have purchased 8 trucks or 4?
We will have purchased 4 more. We purchased 4 in 2020 that we have not taken receipt of yet.
Okay,
2 of them then? We got all 4? Okay, sorry. So last December, we bought 4. The proposal is to buy 4 more this December. So it's still only
Okay.
4.
all right. The other question is, so in 2021, we will only have purchased 4 snowplow trucks,
Yes, sir.
correct? All right, thank you.
And she was about 100,000 short, which between her and Al, they have located that money and it's extra in some of the different categories, the point ones and the supplies and whatnot, so.
So-
Man,
How much is that? $1 million? How much is that?
$7,068,000, I think it was,
For the 4 trucks total.
for the 4 trucks.
It's $1,068,876.
Okay,
Matt?
So just so I'm straight, from a cash flow standpoint, you will then order the trucks in December, which gets us ahead of the line and gets us for the price increase. What does that do from a cash flow standpoint as far as deposits, payment, financing, et cetera? When do we actually pay for those trucks if we don't receive them, say, next October?
So we won't pay for them until they're received.
So we're actually gonna end up paying for 2022 trucks in 2022.
Yes.
So what's the harm in ordering in December?
No.
It's a no-brainer.
It appears to be a good plan.
Maybe it makes your also a little messier on a few pieces of paper, but wait a minute, okay, then it makes sense.
I like it too.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? Kathy?
I make a motion that we go ahead and order the 4 trucks.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Paul. Daryl? Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. What's next?
So the last thing that I have is, you probably all heard that there's a school bus driver shortage. So we have a great number of drivers who fit a big part of the requirement to be a school bus driver. So I was wondering if you would consider somehow allowing some of our drivers, if need be, to help out the schools when they need to be helped out.
I'll ask the question, how does it work?
So I don't really know yet. I was gonna hope that, I wanted to talk to you about it and see if it was something you would like to consider so that I can look into it. I heard that one of the local schools had closed down because they didn't have enough drivers. I don't anticipate it being often, but our drivers work, from 6 o'clock on. And so they're already on the clock. They would need to be trained. Being a bus driver in my past, I know what they need to be trained for. So there would be more training that they would need, but it's like kind of, I don't know, a public service opportunity for our department.
Paul?
Would that would fall under shared services, wouldn't it? Possibly.
I don't know how it would, only because we're not really saving, trying to think, it's not two government entities, there's the first question, so I don't know how that would fulfill that. But then also, we're not saving, I don't know if the school would be saving money, because it's money that they wouldn't be spending to start with. So I'm not sure if that would be shared services. We'd have to look into it more. I don't know what the arrangement would be with the schools. I'm assuming Deb's thinking that they would remain on the county payroll and serve as bus drivers for the school. So there's, I'm sure, a lot of questions as far as liability.
There's at least 8 hands up. I'll start with Matt.
You touch on it. Who's paying them? What's the agreement gonna say from a liability standpoint? Is this gotta go through collective bargaining and through the union to get stuff? And what if it's not uniform throughout the whole county, that one school district uses 6 guys every day and another one someplace else doesn't have to use any? The inequities in that regard, there's 1,000 questions here that need to be answered before this is consideration.
Daryl?
So fundamentally, I kind of support the idea. I think the devil's in the details, as everybody's kind of raising their hands on the questions. As long as we can do it legally, avoiding any liability pitfalls. Obviously, compensation is important. And if all those details can be worked out, philosophically, I'm okay supporting rather than having a school shut down. But there's a pretty big balancing act and a lot of questions to answer before we say, yeah, go ahead. So that green light, I guess, will take some time. Thank you.
Okay, Cassie next, I think.
I think all Deb's actually asking for is permission to look into it to bring back information. I don't think we're looking to solve all the problems today. So I guess if we're on board with allowing her to look into it to see if it's even doable and bring us back all the answers to the questions. I think that's the basic question here today, not.
Dan, you had your hand up?
Well, yeah, I did, and I guess from the perspective, you're gonna help the schools out, but I get a real bad feeling about this, that you're not gonna be able to sort it out, number one, but number two, I guess just initially, is there gonna start becoming, inequities with the different towns that are paying for something that's not benefiting them? And I almost would stay away from it, because to me, it sounds so complicated that I don't see how it could ever be done fairly. That's just right, but I agree with Cassie, look into it, maybe the details can be worked out, but I'd be scared to death of it myself if it ever working and being equitable. And not impacting the county, financially, but also getting the work done. So?
I think it's so important to keep the kids in school, and if we can help with providing bus drivers to the schools in need, could it be done with it not being on county time, that it actually becomes a resource that schools can reach out to and hire them as subs, because usually it's a 10-day cycle, and have the schools actually, we have a list of potential CDL drivers, and not have that impact their jobs here, but give them maybe an incentive to say, yes, I wouldn't mind driving a school bus for 10 days if that's going to help our community. to have the schools take over the liability and the payment, so that it doesn't become a, what town gets more, that type of thing. We kind of do that with the resource officers. If the schools buy into it, then we work towards providing a resource officer so that they have one, without, impacting our employment.
And Matt, next.
Yeah, I had questions on if we committed to this and then all of a sudden there was a snow, well, is the driver supposed to come plow for us or is he supposed to go drive the bus? Because if he has to come plow for us, then the kids are hung up with no driver. There's things to be worked out there, but.
If they go to drive and no plow, there's no school either.
No, I mean, it's right in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But I guess from Deb and maybe Danielle's standpoint, do we have a roster of guys who have retired from DPW in the last 5 or 10 years that we could get together to send out to the schools, so they can reach out to those guys and say, hey, if you're retired, how's that come in and do this? So they can be proactive, to have a pool of people they can try to attract. Just a thought.
Dana?
I agree the devil's in the details, and like Matt said, retired might be the better way to go because our currently employed people, you're gonna have a payroll problem. They're not gonna reach their 40 hours a week unless it is on county time. Those hours count toward county, but the school reimburses the county. I think that's the only way you're gonna be able to keep payroll straight. Otherwise, you're gonna have people short of their 40 hours a week.
Hey, Dan first.
We must have volunteer firemen and, volunteer EMS is working in the county. Do they get to leave if there's a fire or call out?
Only if it is a mass emergency where it affects like the entire town and they need to go, but no.
Or the county?
For typical fires, we don't allow them to leave work if they're scheduled.
I mean, is that gonna open another door that's gonna be an issue if we start this?
Bob?
But it almost sounds like people are thinking about this as a long-term sort of thing either. I think that the intention is to have some emergency thing, like Fort Ann needed drivers for the morning, one day to keep school open. It's not like they're gonna be having it all the time, so I think that there are details to be worked out, but I don't think it's necessarily as complex as we're trying to make it. Once we get thinking about it, we can go right off the rails about payroll and all kinds of stuff. I think she's talking about this as a, hey, we need somebody for, 1 hour this morning. Can you run over and help Fort Ann out and then come back to work? So I think, yeah, you need some more details to work out, but I would kind of support the concept of helping out the schools around here. I think it's a good public relations thing for us.
Okay, anybody else? Al?
So while I commend the philosophy, I would caution using our forces for another entity. We have a bunch of employees that already moonlight, and I think maybe the path of least resistance is go let them become an employee of the school, and if they want to take a couple hours of vacation time or whatever, they want to take 2 hours in the morning personal time to go drive the bus and come back to us, that's clean, the school has all the liability, there's no mixed payrolls, and they still get the experienced drivers. I think there's still a way to get there without it being a county liability. That's just my 2 cents. Every party needs a pooper, might as well be me.
Anybody else?
One more question.
Okay.
Is there different requirements with, working with kids and as a school bus driver compared to? Oh, you have to have a passenger endorsement on your license. Yeah. And that's a test. I say that, it was a long time ago that I had to do that. I'm assuming it's similar. Yeah. Thank you for bringing this on.
Would they have to be fingerprinted as other employees at the school are? And that costs money to be fingerprinted.
I believe they are.
The background check and everything now, I think.
Yeah.
Is that transferable to the school in the time frame?
I think by the time we get this figured out,
We will.
Okay.
worth looking into.
I'll add on to the treasures. I have to look, obviously, at all sides of it. And I do commend Deb for coming up with the idea, because I think it would be a great resource and obviously could help out our communities and our schools, and the time that they obviously need the drivers. I do have concerns about using county drivers. I have huge concerns with liability if they're on the clock, as a county worker. I also have concerns about county work and how that's gonna affect the jobs that they're actually hired to do. It's not like we have people sitting around, with just time on their hands that I know of. So I'm a little concerned with that as well. And then, of course, like Supervisor Hicks mentioned, you know, if it snows, I don't really know, where the priorities are. I'm assuming it would be us, but then we have to tell the schools no. I do have a lot of concerns, so I think we'd have to really talk about it.
There's probably
See where we
the
go.
way with the union too. So.
Yeah, there definitely would be some conversation with the unions as well. And I'm assuming it would be a voluntary basis, right?
Anybody else? So what's the general feeling? Do you want Deb to try to sort through some details or just not go forward? What's the feeling? I've kind of heard about half and half here, so. Brian?
Just listening to the discussions as I joined it late, I think if you heard from Roger, you'd hear all other side too. I think if we're gonna go forward, probably Deb and Melissa and Roger should all have that chat and see if there's even an opportunity, a path that works where the liability isn't an issue and all the other things. I mean, there's a lot in that there's things we're thinking of and things we're not even beginning to think of that have to be ironed out that. So, I guess I'd take a look, but I wouldn't go to, if there's a point where you can't go any further, you can't go any further about it. I think you guys should look before you come back to us, if that's what I ask you.
Right. Roger, I saw you pop on and off. Did you have a comment?
Well, I'm really glad the mute button works on this thing. Yeah, there's the devil is the thing. There's going to be a lot of things we're going to have to work out because it's not going to be just switching people around. And you can do that in the private sector, but with pension concerns and credits and all the rest of that stuff and union concerns, it would be difficult to take our current folks. But the idea of having a pool of folks that are retired that can, are almost halfway there to begin with, is interesting to talk about. And the other thing is talk to the schools, because I don't think you just plug somebody into a school bus one day and say, drive the route. You got to know where you're going, who you're picking up, all that good stuff. It's not like, it's one thing to drive the bus. It's another thing to drive a school bus route. So I think we'd have to talk to the schools first and say, is this something, they'd probably say, yes, we'd like the drivers, but then we'd have to talk about, well, what does the driver have to do? What do we have to do to train these folks up? So I think there'd be a lot of details, and it'd be nice to be able to get it done before school, but there's a lot of things to talk about. And Dan was right. Dan Shaw was right about, we've had people agitating for years to leave, for squad calls, for fire calls, for whatever else you want. And that's going to open the door to those folks saying, why can't I leave if there's something going on too? So that's going to be another issue we're going to have to address.
Okay, the devil has spoken. What's the feeling of the committee?
We can go ahead and look at it. There's no harm in looking at it. There really isn't. There's seriously no harm in going through and listing out the issues and then trying to see if we can address them. That makes perfect sense.
From what I've heard, I'm gonna say no, don't go any further.
Take everybody's time, huh?
How about Deb getting a list together of retired drivers? Is that something that would be okay to start anyways on that? Does anybody else have feelings one way or the other on searching
I
more
think
into
it's
this?
definitely worth looking into.
Okay. So,
In that committee meeting, you might want to have Mr. Dexter or somebody from regional, so you know what the protocol is.
kind of sounds like look into some more of the details, Deb.
I'll look into it until it starts to snow. Okay, then I'll be busy. Not that I'm not now, but anyway. So thank you guys, appreciate it. And that's all I have for today.
Okay, thank you, Deb. Joe, how are you today?
living the dream. How about yourself?
Hey, I'm dry right now. It's better than earlier this morning.
Good. We'd like to move forward with approving a replacement for the executive director's position. The commissioners have interviewed and chosen a candidate. The candidate has, after a little bit of negotiation, the candidate has accepted the position.
Joe, at this point, if we're gonna go forward with that, I would ask the committee to go into executive sessions for reasons of talking about an individual and employment.
I make that motion.
Brian moved it, Cassie seconded it. Dan?
Discussion? Is this when we're in discussion?
Yeah, we can have discussions,
Discussion on the executive session?
Yeah.
because we're gonna be talking.
All I wanna know is, did the directors do this in executive session, or is that public record who they voted on? Because if they have done that in public record, who they picked?
It's not in public at the moment.
Okay,
It's
that's
not-
all I'm
it's not
trying
in
to
public.
find out.
Yeah. Okay, I have a motion, a second, to go into executive session. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay. Give us just a minute.